Jay and welcome back to Elementary 7 Gaming. Now, for today's video, I'm actually going back to a Tower of God video. To be honest, I've been avoiding it for a few weeks because I wanted a complete conclusion to everything that's happening right now. So maybe about 6 weeks that I was expecting to miss for Tower of God before I actually re-continued with Power Speaking, because I was going crazy about the Balm vs. White fight. I felt like it was the build-up we wanted and the story piece that we actually needed as the individual following the story for such a long time. However, I've noticed that Dr. Bone, one of the channels who I follow religiously on Tower of God, actually said something that I was shocked to hear him say. There is no tension in the story. And I'm not saying that he's wrong about it, but there is no tension. But considering a lot of other sources, like Attack on Titan, we've learned a lesson over the past few years that your antagonist is not always the good guy of your story. He can become the villain, he can do unbelievably bad things and end up becoming the worst possible person. And the way an author builds up the character can determine everything. We've seen this in Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball Saga, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, where Goku did unbelievable things. It may have resulted in good results in the end, but he did something that jeopardized the future of everybody. And that was Dragon Ball Super, the Tournament of Power, the big thing that we saw. And the series did continue in manga form, but we haven't yet got the anime releases yet. But let's look at it for Tower of God, which is the story right now and where it is. As I said, the story is pretty old at the moment, and we know that they're going to be pushing closer towards the end. And there is a reason why this particular scene is the one that I am showing right now. This is where White devours Prince, right? Everybody knows that by now. If you haven't, that means you haven't been reading the comic. And this is over 5 years old, 4 years old, sorry. 4 years old if you have been reading the comic from its start. So it's literally so old that it's been there long enough for you to have read this and come out years before the anime release and everything. So I don't count it as a spoiler. Anything that came out after the anime release I would count as slightly spoilerish, like the current nature. So they call it the Tower of Problems, the title for that video, and I'm also going to follow that same suit on this one just because it's a rebuttal to both of them. And they were saying there is no real tension. Now, we know that Balm is about to fight White, and I'm going to say this here. If Balm wipes the floor with White and really kicks White's butt at this point, remember, he still has another opponent to go through. He has Khun Mashni to fight. And you understand that Mashni is no slouch. She was phenomenal on the Hidden Floor, and you can only imagine what her real life counterpart, the real life Mashni is like, because she is now a fully fledged princess. She's a ranker. She is one of the high rankers, one of the commanders of Jahad's army. So she's going to be insane. And there is going to be another story altogether. Remember, the princesses have extra durable bodies. They're going to be a match for an irregular in some parts, although they're not going to win. If you're counting all of this as the possibility with White being phase 1 of that fight, if White gets his butt handed to him by Balm, then the next fight is going to be Balm vs. Mashni, and trust me, it's going to be another one where things just turn in Balm's favor. But at that point is where SIU has a chance to blow our minds. A lot of people are feeling like there is no consequence. However, I always say this here, go back to the start of chapter 3. And when this whole war saga is starting, they say the wave that started the change in the tower. And remember, each part where they say something big is happening, something big started happening. In the start, they talk about it being the story of Balm and Rachel and how they climb the tower. And literally it focuses on Balm so heavily, and everything he does has a ripple effect on everything around him. He has changed the balance between the 10 great families, right? He has caused Gustang to literally turn on Jahad, which is a rare thing to see for any one of the 10 companions. He's caused Yuri to be in love with him, basically, and the way Yuri is behaving, it's a bit unbelievable considering that she's a princess of Jahad and all the things she's done. I suspect she's going to be in prison just like the other princess of Jahad who's imprisoned. But trust me, things are about to get a lot more crazy. We need to see another family head step in. We've only seen one family head in the actual story for real life. We've seen a virtual family head in virtual Jahad. They don't count much, and we can expect to only meet Khun Edwan up the tower around 95th floor or during the princess arc when things go crazy and we find out a ton of hidden stories behind what Khun Edwan has been up to and why he hasn't been part of his family's shenanigans. Then moving on from this year, we're going to get a lot of things which are definitely going to add to the tension of the story. But right now we're talking about the nest. So if Bam wipes the floor with White and then he wipes the floor with Mashni, who is insane, right? She is literally insane. The next thing we can expect is a lot of hardcore Bam improvements. Remember this Bam? This Bam was Mr. Lonely after he came back from basically being dead to everybody. And he went through a ton of crap because of who he is. And he fought so hard to get back to his friends. He got back with his friends. He tried to catch Rachel again, making the biggest mistake of his life. He learned a lesson. He changed so much in season 3 that the old Bam's behavior was literally gone. And we need something to revitalize the change in him again. He's changing, right? Nobody can see the change, but he is changing quite a bit. And a lot of people won't notice it. Bam only has this martyr type behavior. He doesn't like to risk others. He doesn't like to put his burdens on others. And right now he's doing it for this war. And a lot of people haven't noticed this. And it is a consequence all to itself. Remember, Bam is being wrecked inside. Sometimes it's hard to understand a soldier's life. I'm not talking from experience. I'm just talking from reading books. Soldiers' lives seem so easy to understand. They go through immense amounts of trauma. It changes who they are. They can be the most delicate of people in reality before war, and when they come back, they can be so harsh and brutal. It just makes no sense. And that's because of the trauma they go through. Similar things are happening to Bam as he's going up the tower, and I think SIU is calling on his military past to actually push this into who Bam is. Bam has made himself a soldier, sacrificing all he is for everybody else, and we're about to see the repercussions of this behavior. I know that I'm using big words and it may seem like they're all for nothing, but trust me, there's a lot to say and a lot to go through. Now, moving forward from this part, we have a lot to try to understand about what's going on in the story. And people saying that the story has no tension, there is a ton of tension. We don't know who's going to show up for the next part of this fight. If this fight seems too easy, trust me, it's too easy. Remember the Hell Train? When he fought White and he won against White? When he first meets White seemed like he wasn't all that spectacular, like he's going to beat him in a month. When White started merging, the tension started building and it looked like for the first time something might happen to Bam. Like Bam might not beat this guy, he might have to beat him later on down the line or sacrifice all his friends. But obviously things turned out for the better for Bam. You can't count it as 100% tension because you know Bam is the main character, but plot armor doesn't protect him completely. Like his friends Prince and Arkraptor, they may not have been the most important characters. One of them has a good storyline with him, that's Arkraptor, and Prince probably also has a fantastic storyline, we just don't know enough about it. But when you look at all of this and you think about what happened with Bam, these things are consequences of his actions. When he felt that pain and when he decided to say those things that he did, it's because he realized how much of jeopardy he put his friends in when he jumped into the chain. And he realized he can't hold on to all of their conscience, to all of their behavior on his conscience alone. He doesn't have that skill. He isn't really that type of a person. And then later he found out that three of his friends might be dead, and it wrecked his heart. And then he was reunited with Rock, and he knows that Ewa and Danwa were safe, and then he found out about the captain holding them hostage. And there's so many subplots going on all over the place. The captain himself is such a point of tension. We just don't understand what's going on. Doan and Cha, we don't even know what's going to happen with them. We don't know whether they're going to get killed. We don't know whether they're going to give us something else. Remember, Bam is the linchpin for the end story. If Bam gets killed, he's going to be resurrected. There is no question about it. If Bam gets killed, he will be resurrected. And if anything is going to go down, I suspect Bam is going to die at the end of this saga. Now, there is a reason why I have a feeling that Bam will die and be resurrected. Because it will show us that Bam is something beyond. Now, as I said previously, I suspect that we're going to get one of the two irregulars who haven't yet showed up to show up in the story. And by the irregulars, I mean the three who are not part of the Great Warriors. That is Yuriko-Zeno, who's already showed up in the story, so him showing up here isn't so important. Pentaminum or Enryu. Now, Pentaminum showing up would guarantee us that Bam is beyond what we imagine he is. If Pentaminum shows up to revive Bam instead of to fight Bam, then it means that Bam isn't an Axis, right? It means he isn't an Axis. He is the author of the worlds. He is the god of the entire universe of the Tower of God. He is the end user Tales author. He's not just an Axis user, right? That would be the reality of Bam if, as I said, if Pentaminum shows up. If Enryu shows up, then the possibility of him being another Axis is a possibility, and that is what it will look like for Bam at that point. But Bam is becoming really spectacular, and moving forward, he's starting to only show us the power that he has. Remember, starting season 3, we knew Bam was an absolute beast with the way he fought rankers. He beat rankers left, right, and center like they were jokes. And if he continues at this rate, he's not going to end up losing any real pace to anybody. He's just going to keep becoming a stronger character for us to love. And I know a lot of people see this as a problem in the tower because there is no consequence for Bam, but there could be a consequence later down the line. And when you have a character who's this well shielded and a consequence shows up in the end, like he has to imprison himself, he has to lock away his feelings, he has to be killed, or his blood is required to open the tower, you know, something crazy like that, after he's done everything that he has to do, where he sacrifices himself and kills himself into the door to open it for people to continue beyond the end of the tower. That would be something unbelievably spectacular. It will break our hearts to see something like that. And SIU has this potential. He's building up the potential of this character, and you may see it as just me being a total fanboy for Bam, but this is actually me being honest about one thing. Bam's potential is unbelievably huge. The plot armor that he's giving him tells us that there's something huge coming. If Bam wins, it's going to be something like a fairy tale win, right? Although in Fairy Tail there were no consequences, nobody ever died in that entire anime series, but when it comes to this year, if Bam can go through to the end of the tower without having to have anybody die or lose anybody for his entire progression, that wouldn't have been so amazing. But he has lost people. Remember, he's lost Prince and Arcrafter. He might be able to revive their souls somehow down the line with Enryu's help, or he might be able to find somebody who has the power to resurrect the dead. But that is something which will go on beyond that. I'm suspecting Maxet for that particular purpose, to resurrect the dead into an artificial body. And that will also link into him killing White. When he kills White, I suspect every soul that White has consumed is going to go into him. Remember, Bam is like a power magnet. And when Bam fights off against Marshni at the end of this chapter, before the end of this chapter, I don't think that's going to be the grand finale. I think he's going to fight off Marshni and he's going to make a big thing about it, and Evencal is going to fail. Evencal cannot succeed in stopping the local BR high rankers and the family leader from stepping in this fight. They must enter this fight. If they do not enter this fight, then if they don't enter, then Bam's whole story is pointless. I'm not being a total buzzkill on it. That's just the only problem I can see. If they don't enter, Balm's whole fight in this chapter isn't going to mean anything. It's just going to be him slaughtering the Jahad army, slaughtering 3 whole units from the Jahad family. He makes Jahad look like a joke. And he'll be so far up on the high rank level that he's going to be just touching the level of one of the 10 great warriors. And by the time he reaches 100th floor, as I said, I suspect he's going to beat Arya Han like a total child, and Arya Han is going to give him something unbelievable. But that's the reality of it. I think that's where Balm is heading. Obviously, he's not going to beat Yurik Mazzino. I suspect him and Yurik are going to have a massive fight on the 134th floor, and it's not going to be a fight to kill each other, but a fight to see whose ideals win out. And you know that whole story about him telling Balm to be himself no matter what anybody tells him? I think that's what the fight is going to be about, because Balm is going to change a lot by that point, and he's going to try and snap Balm back to the Balm we know. That's what I think Yurik's whole point is going to be, because Yurik has shown himself to be that type of good guy to the story. He won't be fighting for Jahad's sake, but he will fight for Balm's sake to help Balm become a better person, and all together they're going to help each other through the tower. Now, I know that I'm looking at it very idealistically. I know that I'm ignoring the fact that there are some problems in this chapter, and I don't blame SIU too much about the chapter. The backstory on people who are just going to die in a matter of minutes and all of their little tidbits here and there is so pointless, right? It slowed down the story, it halted progression, there wasn't enough action in that start. To be honest, the whole Yasracha story and all of his commanders could have been kept into one episode, one comic episode, and having them all getting their butts whooped, right? I understand the whole issue with Donghei, the sword that that Hunt is using. I understand the backstory on Han Sang-yu and the things he's done in the past. Yeah, that's understandable. Han Sang-yu is an important person in the story. And if you count it, he's one of Balm's mentors. Balm has to do something at the end of this chapter. And I don't think it's going to be something small. I think it's going to be something big. When Evan Kell gets beaten up and everything, I don't think Evan Kell is going to be prisoner. I think Evan Kell is going to be saved with the sacrifice of somebody who is both mentor and enemy to Balm. Somebody who Balm looks up to quite a bit at this point in time. That's Han Sang-yu. And when Han Sang-yu dies, I think it's going to be pretty impactful on Balm, and it's going to lead up to Balm's fight against Loco Bia family head on the 134th floor before he enters into his fight against Jahad. Now, that's just a prediction from my weird side of things, but that's what I'm expecting to see coming up in this chapter. You can say that I'm wrong. I most probably am wrong about a lot of what I am thinking, but I don't see the story as not having tension. As you can tell, I can see so many plot points coming out in the future, and Balm's plot armor isn't a non-tension situation. Balm's plot armor is a tension situation. Khun has a tension situation around him all the time. When he almost died earlier in season 3, you have any idea how many people's hearts broke for that one episode? That 1 week where you didn't have an update on what happened to Khun? I guarantee there are some people out there who are crying Khun is dead, right? That is the impact of one close call in the story. Obviously, if they play a close call too many times in a row, it will definitely reduce it, like Raak's close call. We saw Raak as being dead, and when we heard the whole story from Yurik Mazzino saying that there was no third person, we all thought Raak was dead. And then they showed Raak in another place, and obviously they ruined it for us. But nonetheless, that is the thing. We need consequences like that to actually hold on once and for all. There's Hockney, there's Elaine. They may not be as important as Khun and Raak, but they can die. We saw that there with Prince and Arthur, they're part of Balm's second team. They're part of his main line companions, his 16 companions of the tower for the start. And if they get hurt, if they get killed, it makes a difference to Balm. He has his friends who we haven't seen in a while in the form of Dan. I'm forgetting the name of the other one there. I know Ran. I'm forgetting the with Crimson Fist. Forgetting his name. Sorry about that there. But nonetheless, there's that team who's coming up with Shia. And if they lose members, it will still have an impact on Palm. It will have an impact to us as people following the story. They just need to show up here in this crazy fight. Now, I know that I've rambled on for long enough, and this is my review to this, saying that there is no changing in power. There is a ton of tension. There is a ton of things that we don't know. And if you want to see it, you just need to look a little harder. So that's all from me, and I will catch you all in the next one in a few weeks when the fight between Bam and White is over, and you see how we can. See you all then, and have a